Yin and Young. Oh, Yin and Young. Welcome back to Yin and Young, the podcast. I'm here with filmmaker Darren Kwan. Yay!
Hey, what's going on?
Dan is joining us remotely. Hi, Dan. How you been?
Good.
Good.
You guys?
Good. And this is Young, aka James, aka Young. We just to give a timeline. I guess we're recording this after Oscars. You know.
Yep.
So today, generally, what I was thinking, guys, is that you talk a little bit about Darren, his a little bit about his journey here as a filmmaker, and then from there we can get straight into the Oscars stuff and like breaking down some of the films we saw that spoke to us.
Sure.
Why don't you give us a quick, maybe like a self-introduction or of sorts, maybe like a so you're from the Bay Area originally?
Yes. And it's funny because I was just talking to Dan earlier.
Yeah.
He was talking about working in tech. Because I'm originally from Silicon Valley, and I did work for a tech company for a few years. And
Who hasn't? You're in the Bay Area. Yeah.
And it's actually a pretty well-known or big tech company. I think most people actually know about it. So it's just that just kind of came out as funny. And then I think it's just one of those things where I guess everyone has that feeling where it's a cubicle 9-to-5 job and like, oh, okay, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And from there, just quit and then went to do something else. Filmmaking wasn't the first choice, really. Actually, it just kind of happened in a way.
What was the first choice?
Well, at the time, I guess to clarify, I didn't really quit because I was actually a contractor for this company, and my contract ended, so I was trying to figure out what I want to do. And so my first choice was actually I was in the process of studying for my GMAT. I was actually trying to get into the business program for like masters. That was what I wanted to do at the time. But then I hated studying. I didn't like that part either. So it's just, and then, so there's like the whole thing where I actually did schedule to take the test, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I backed out like last minute or last second because I was like, oh, you know what, I don't think I'll pass, so I'm just gonna go and figure out some other stuff, and then it just happened. So I went to do some YouTube videos with another buddy of mine, and just kind of end up liking the process and just liking it, and just start doing more filmmaking.
This was after high school or after working for a while or what?
Yeah, this was after working for about 2.5 years. I was with that company.
Okay. So Darren and I actually met at community college.
Yeah, the Anza.
Were you working on your associates at the time or?
For the Anza, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just taking classes like just for, what's the word? Beneficial to a career, I guess is like, because there's boxes you can check and that's like one of them. Like, yeah. So I wasn't really going for like, because I already had a bachelor's at that time and I was like, I want to go back to school.
Okay. Like general requirements.
I was like, I'm to further my career.
Yeah.
So then, But I mean, just taking classes, because
right.
It's basically, how post-college, for me at least, post-college, kind of like you're in that, like, what do I really want to do? I went to college because my parents really wanted me to. Yeah. And, I guess it's something good to do. But what do I really want? And so I had traveled a bit and I came back and went, Anza College. I think we met at the sound class doing Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Or was it what? And then
was
you
one
also
of the classes.
Susan Tabernetti's class too? Or
yeah, I had her before.
Dude, she's great. So Anza College, just shout out to Anza College, one of the best film programs in the Bay Area.
Yeah, for community college.
Community college, yeah.
That's true.
The City College of San Francisco and Anza College. There's a third one in East Bay, which is I hear Diablo Valley is pretty good, but
I didn't hear too much about that. Okay.
But I know Anza College in the South Bay near Cupertino, and then City College of San Francisco. I can speak to both. I went to both of those.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, anyways, I met you. Then, how did we reconnect? Did we meet on a film set again, or
no? So I think well, at least this is roughly what I remembered. So at the time I was still doing a lot of these side gigs, side jobs to, obviously pay bills, pay rent. I'll do these security officer jobs. So I was a security guard. I was actually a security officer for a hotel in downtown LA. And he kind of walked by the hotel. I guess he saw me and
I did like a double take. I was like,
yeah, he came up to me and be like,
this fucking Asian guy looks familiar.
It's like, hey, Darren. And I'm like, wait, James? Yeah, we met at the Anza.
Yeah. I'm usually not that good with names, but
Yeah.
I remembered him. And I think it's because I had met Mitchell recently before
Yes,
which is a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but from the Anza College to now, that's been a bit. That's like 7 years or something, like, right?
About like 7 years.
6 years, yeah. So what have you been doing? Like, what brought you to LA? For me, obviously, was grad school, but what brought you to LA?
I didn't want to move down here without somewhat of a plan. And so part of the reason I moved down here was I was able to get an internship down here first. So it was like for a film distribution company, film sales distribution company. They mostly deal with like indie films. So I was interned there for a few months. And so if I didn't get that internship, then I probably would have kept looking, but I wouldn't move down like right away. So, I mean, I guess I wasn't one of those who would just literally move down without any plan. I want to have something at least, So that was kind of what brought me to LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, so from there, I've been looking over some of your films, like, and throughout this time, it seems like you've been busy, creating short film content, I guess, or short films.
Yeah.
Kind of like on I would say maybe Black Mirror-ish kind of genre sort of stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
Kind of dramatic, there's usually some sort of involvement with like some sci-fi element or horror element a little bit.
Yeah. Wait, so Dan, did you ever watch like that Netflix series, Black Mirror?
Yeah, I watched a few episodes.
Okay.
So I totally understand. It's almost like the modern day version of a Twilight Zone.
Oh God, yeah, it's terrific. Like it's just the story they tell in that series it actually could really happen presently now in real life. So it's not just like a made up thing. I feel like a lot of the scenarios it could, and it's really outrageous too. I think the very first episode of that series was very outrageous.
It's kind of ridiculous, with the pig.
Yeah, it was very ridiculous.
Happy Year of the Pig, everyone! Happy Lunar New
Is
Year.
it Pig Year? Okay.
It's the Year of the Pig.
Yes.
Yeah. So, part of it is that kind of inspiration because I kind of do like that. I really love all the ideas from that series. It's just mind blowing, and it's not like really that sci-fi, but it makes you think. It does. It makes you think. Like there's an episode in that series that talks about like, well, not exactly clones, but I think it was like a kind of artificial intelligence. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like in season 2 where they had this episode where the female character, like her husband dies, and then so then like she obviously was very depressed about it, and then she hears from a friend that you could input all his like social media like activity or interaction, and then this software program would then mimic that person and talk to you.
Yeah, it starts with like I'll reply to your text. Or basically I'll answer the phone in the voice of that person of your dead husband.
Yeah, your dead.
And then there's another level, and it's just crazier. It's like you can actually like download that voice and image to the information into like an artificial intelligence like robot. So that in that episode, is it a robot or is it actually like is it biological? It's like a clone-ish thing.
It's kind of a clone-ish. Yeah. Dan has to watch that episode because it's so trippy because she's so desperate for her dead husband that
you're not sure like is she really gonna do it or not, and then like anyways
they did do it.
Spoiler. I mean that's actually not the main spoiler, but
no.
But I guess we can talk a little bit about your latest film, and then after that we can segue to Oscars maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
So your latest film is Cuddlers, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I watched it, just a brief synopsis, Dan. It opens with a lady patiently waiting for like something and you don't know, and then I guess she gets a text says your cuddler will be arriving soon, and so this guy, and then Matt Baca, your friend, the actor, he arrives at this woman's house, and she's like, okay, and he's like, oh yeah, 2 hours today, and they cuddle, and then so the story progresses. What was kind of the inspiration for that story?
My friend had told me about this professional cuddling business going on. This was like a few years ago. I think it might be blowing up now. But he told me about it. I didn't believe him, so I went to Google it, and there is an actual thing like that. And I thought that was very interesting, where these people get paid for cuddling with someone. And then they had this whole article, this whole deal that I think when this was during the time when like Donald Trump won the presidency, a lot of people were starting to get depressed, so that they would actually call these professional cuddling service because for some reason they feel something wrong, so they need like human touch, like that kind of cuddle experience. I mean, so everything's just supposedly platonic, no sex or anything, none of that stuff.
Platonic, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how they advertise it, because there's obviously the whole kind of rules behind it.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, so there was like a spike in that, and then so it got really popular, and then I thought that idea and concept was pretty interesting, because the fact that it doesn't have to be a man and a woman, but I just thought that having that as the theme of the film, it plays out kind of like a romance too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do like background checks and stuff for everyone. And I mean, yeah, Dan and I were just saying like our first reaction was, oh, you mean in Japan, right? But you're saying no, this is USA, like, because in Japan that's like a long-standing industry of like people like paying, like you can get your ears cleaned, or like they do that in Taiwan too. I was curious as an experience to do it, but my connection said, nah, I kind of don't want you to. He told me that, James, that's not going to solve your loneliness or something. I was like, what? I just want to try it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, you could think about like this whole cuddling thing. It doesn't solve your your loneliness either.
It's just a transactional relationship.
Yeah, it's just for the time being. You feel kind of down. You need some human touch. Like that's kind of the point.
But do you think? Yeah. Sorry, Dan.
I think for James that would just be an experimental thing. He just wants to experience it, something to talk about. That's actually a great icebreaker.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
but like it's kind of like, I wonder what the social taboos are. I was like, yeah, I paid like $40 for cuddling last week. I don't know if that's I think you're right, Dan. I think something to write about, I guess, something to experience.
Because there's that boundary, right? It's not really prostitution, or it's not prostitution at all, because there's a clear boundary. There's no sex involved. It's just for comfort, human comfort.
Yeah. Well, you can't rule out that there might be like under the table, because
there's always that under the table thing. Because I mean, my friend was just telling me about the Instagram model thing. I don't know if this is true or not. It's because I was talking about Robert Kraft and how he went to just a rub and tug in a strip mall when he's a billionaire, when he could have gone for a very high class model escort kind of business, and then that led to Instagram model. To him telling me that there's like this underground thing with Instagram models, and they are basically, if you direct message them, they'll show up at events, and those events are like in Dubai or whatever.
Oh, what?
I mean, they're like 20-something girls who are like really hot, and they're going to Dubai for vacation, and
what? That's crazy.
And then I guess it promotes the event, because obviously they're gonna be like, oh hey, we're at this party or whatever. I guess.
Yeah, but wherever they go up, or wherever they show up, there's always those underground, seedier parts of life that I'm not privy to, because I just don't have the money to afford that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure money's not the only barrier.
Yeah.
But that's like the very first barrier, though, right? Once you cross that,
I mean,
because
what would you say his name was? Kraft, right? Robert
Kraft.
Yeah,
he's the owner of the New England Patriots. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So why would he go to the strip mall place for like $160 transaction when he could just hop on a private jet and go to Amsterdam where it's completely legal?
That's true.
So
convenience. I don't know.
No, I mean
he doesn't live in Florida. I don't think.
I heard about that, and it sucks because that establishment and the women that were involved, they get criminalized, which kind of sucks because I'm guessing.
Well, they're saying that there's a people trafficking where the girls actually live there on the massage tables, and they were cooking on the back steps and stuff like that, and they had like no breaks.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Never, and maybe that's for the better. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, since he's like what you said, since he's a billionaire, he's the owner of the Patriots. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows what's going on. So it's funny how he'll be denying this stuff. It's like, dude, there's no way you do not know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like
they have video evidence.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yes, video evidence too. So it's funny how they deny it. It's the same thing. Like okay, now we're getting to sports, but it's the same thing with like when Tom Brady said that he didn't go do the whole Deflategate. I mean maybe he doesn't, but I still feel like part of it he knows what's going on. That's the thing. It's like,
can you explain that real quick? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, Deflategate is there's that he got busted for it where they deflated the footballs on his game because it's easier for him to grip and throw, especially in the cold. And it was not like a lot. Like it just didn't crumple, but it was just enough that he could like grip it better or whatever it was, and it was easier for people to catch as well.
Oh, is that illegal?
Yeah, there's like a certain like air measurement that
PSI.
But the thing, the main point is that he was arguing or not really arguing, but he was saying that he had no knowledge of that, and that like the trainer or the athletic trainer, whatever, is the one who's behind it. But then like someone that low of a rank would not do something like that without like a high executive order. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of hard for you to do something. So it's one of those things where people just deny things when it's just too obvious, too clear.
He got suspended for it.
Got suspended.
So he lied.
I mean,
yeah, because they had texts, and they actually had him turn over his text message whole thing, and I think there was like some sort of conversation between him and the equipment manager about deflating the balls. In any case, he got busted for it. I mean, whether he purposely did it or not, he got penalized for it. I don't know if he got penalized enough or whatever, but
I mean, it's interesting. Like sometimes humans act irrationally. Like, I mean, we're like one of those we're interesting creatures. Like we fall into our patterns and we do have some predictable behavior, but sometimes we do like irrational things, maybe even self-destructive things that for like. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for these Tom Brady or Peter Kraft, but
Robert
Kraft. But I know that sometimes, sometimes I'll sleep at 3 a.m. for no fucking reason, or like and it's not too self-destructive, but
I think when you're that wealthy, the whole world completely destroys. Then we can start talking about R. Kelly.
Oh I heard about his thing too. Yeah,
right.
That fucking guy.
But then, I was listening to Kevin Smith doing like a stand-up. And he does like all those stand-ups, and he was talking about interacting with Prince, and Prince didn't even know what reality was. He asked his assistants or something like that for a giraffe just out of the blue.
So random, but okay, that's interesting. That's pretty funny.
But if you think of it, you can manifest it. Like, anyways, I get that kind of magical thinking, I guess, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, when you have that much money, it completely distorts reality. You just don't know what's reasonable and what's not reasonable.
Right. I heard a sound clip. It was pretty good. It's basic. I forget. It was like maybe a philosopher, but talking about how a lot of the people who make a lot of major decisions or move a lot of money transactions are so divorced from the 99.9% of the population that don't have that power.
Yeah.
I mean, like the only interactions they have with, someone from a lower class would be their butler, their their driver, you know. So it's so skewed to like, oh, everyone's here to serve me, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Anyways, how did we get here? Oh, cuddling.
yeah.
So
cuddling.
you could have experienced it, and it wasn't. There's that idea that it's not going to go too far. I mean, as long as you keep it that way, then it can become a conversation starter. But if you like cross that barrier, then it becomes a little awkward when you start talking to people.
Right. You know, actually, I do have a friend. She told me that she actually had. I mean, I don't think it's a full-time job, but she does do professional cuddling, like, you know, on the side.
Oh yeah.
And she told me that
What's her number? I'm kidding.
So she told me that they actually pay pretty well. Like they a lot of them pay at least a minimum of $30 an hour.
Oh.
There's no joke. That's why I've heard that they get paid, like, it's just for cuddling too. I mean we're talking about like supposedly a job that doesn't really require, you know, a master's degree or whatever, you know. I mean, a lot of it you can even argue that is, I mean, common sense probably too, but
a master's degree in cuddling.
But no, I'm just saying, yeah. So it's you'll be surprised. I mean, these kind of jobs, you know, they get paid well. It's jobs that like could be dangerous, and not a lot of people would you know do just because you're, you know, you are talking about, let's say if you're like a female, you're going to like maybe a random guy's house to cuddle with him. You don't know what's gonna happen. So there's that factor too, you know.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing we shot recently was that we were talking about earlier was the Nat Geo short clip that we. So Darren and I recently went. I guess we can't give too many specifics, right? I guess like. It doesn't fucking matter.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's not that hidden of a.
Right. So we went underneath like the Hall of Records. I guess there's some tunnels. There's a lot of tunnels underneath downtown LA, and just I was reading up a little bit about it, and from a link Darren showed me, and they used to, like, you know, the mob used to move money and booze during the Prohibition era, and also if someone got knocked off, they would probably get rid of the bodies down there, and then eventually like it was used for civic duties, like moving bank cash from banks and stuff too. So anyways, we went down there, and I guess LA has quarantined those areas for like specifically for courts. Like people can walk to like different. There's like
buildings.
There's buildings that these underground tunnels connect to that lead you to different courts, and you're not supposed to be there.
No, because it's court grounds. Like you can go, because there's like the Hall of Justice, the courthouse, the police station, all that stuff are all like in that general area. And so those tunnels kind of, you can travel through the tunnels to go to these locations, and so it was cool. You know?
Yeah. So the prompt for this National Geographic contest, short film contest that Darren mentioned to me was basically Everyday Explorer, right? So we said, so Darren's like, I want to check out this place because he likes to explore. I was like, oh, dude, that's. I was like, I'm down for that. It kind of reminded me of like back when I was in high school or middle school. I would like sometimes just like, if I'm not doing anything, I'll just like wander like this town or city. And so it kind of harkens back to that. So we checked that out. We filmed a little bit. It was kind of cool, you know. It's very austere down there. It's very warm, and it's very well lit. I was surprised by how well lit it was. Yeah. But you want to tell the story? What happened? Yeah.
Well, the story is that we got kicked out. At the end of the day, we got kicked out.
These two lady security guards. I don't know if they. No, I don't think they were just security guards. They just said, hey, you guys can't be down here, and then they just escorted us out, and I kept filming. But like, you know, on the incognito, you know, just like hold it.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, it was fun. Then we shot a little bit in Chinatown, some scenery outside.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
it was fun. So
what parts of Chinatown did you film?
Basically, walking from downtown to Chinatown, we filmed a little bit of the.
It's kind of like the entrance in a way.
Yeah, the dragon entrance, and then there's like an overpass there, so
Yeah,
very, 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 very typical LA scene is film the overpass, film outside. Yeah.
Did you film Bruce Lee statue?
I did not.
No, we
but
didn't.
It's that I know where that is. Yeah.
And then since you were like so close, I'm surprised you guys didn't go to the Bradbury building. That place is awesome.
I heard about it too.
What is let me write that down. Bradbury building.
Yeah, it's a very iconic building. It was built in the 1920s or something like that. That's where Blade Runner was filmed.
Oh, really?
The interiors of Blade Runner. Yeah, and then also The Artist.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So if you walk in, and they give tours and stuff like that, but the upper floors are, I think it's a police department or a police station, as well as some retail stuff.
All right. Well, speaking of The Artist, which was a Oscar winner, we watched the Oscars recently. Yeah. And so let's kind of get into that. And, well, before we do, anything else you want to say about the shoot that we did, or the net shoot, or anything else?
Not really. I mean,
okay. Then before we move on, any upcoming work you're working on, or taking a break for now?
Just taking a break for now.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So The Artist was known as one of the worst Oscar winners. It's sometimes it's on a list with another movie called Crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a Oscar winner that should not have been. And another one, which was to many critics this year, was Green Book. So I watched it yesterday, and I have some thoughts, but you guys, I want you, Darren, since you're our guest, why don't you start off with your thoughts on the Oscar winner, Green Book, Oscar winner of 2019, Best Picture winner.
Okay, so you think that it didn't deserve to win?
I will withhold my judgment until I hear you.
Okay. Overall, I thought it was actually a pretty good movie. I did enjoy it. It didn't, it didn't feel slow or anything. Visuals were pretty good. I mean, it's quite standard actually, but for me, every movie has its flaws, right? No movie's perfect, and so in this case, there's some aspects I like and some I don't. And so I actually have a long list of aspects I do not like about the film.
Wow.
So
Dan, he wrote a whole list.
All right. So for one thing, okay, because we since we all watch it, we know that the good portion of the film or the theme was racism, right? We all know that because the fact that he's in the South. But I just didn't like the fact that the filmmakers kind of just gloss over all these other issues, which would have made it much more deeper movie, because they touched on really, really small portion, like his sexuality, right? Because he was a black,
right.
he's a black gay man, and then also there's like the whole identity thing where he thought, oh, I'm not black enough and I'm also not white enough, then so what am I? So those are actually two main issues that I thought they didn't really go in detail with it. So everything was just all racism, which is fine. I get it, but there's been so many movies out there lately in the past couple of years that deals with these kind of issues that it becomes a little bit tiring. And especially in this movie, there were so many scenes that I thought they were just suggesting the whole race thing over and over again, and then these scenes felt like a repeat. If you remember. So there's like one scene where like, oh, he can't use the indoor bathrooms. He has to use the bathroom like outside like a shack. And then there's a scene where he can't try on a suit inside the store because he's black.
Right.
And so there's like, and then obviously there's scenes where like he went to like a bar with a lot of white folks and he wasn't welcome there. So there's these kind of repeat of scenes, just different scenarios, but scenes like over and over again to suggest like, oh, okay, he's black, he's not welcome here. They're racist. Okay, right. Great, but but black.
It's so hard being black in the South.
Yeah.
In the 60s, 50s.
Yeah, but we all know that, but things that Black Klansmen kind of did it that way too. But at least they weren't like
so redundant.
So beating over the head with it. That's one thing I have an issue with, and then there's other issues where, and so, I guess before, Dan, you were kind of mentioning about how it felt like it's a more like a white savior type of story where like he's not really white, he's like Italian American, I guess. So supposedly Italian American
Italian is white, dude.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's fucking white.
No. There's a difference between European white and like, American white. There is a little bit of difference, supposedly.
Italy is where? Italy's from... It's fucking Europe, yeah.
I know, okay, but anyways, okay, fine.
I mean, okay, so like, sure, the Irish and the Italians, they have their own history, and at one point the poor Irish were put at the same level as blacks, but eventually upper class whites thought it better to give more rights to lower class whites, as a way to split up labor unions that were being formed between blacks and poor and lower class whites.
Okay.
So, but eventually the Irish and the Italians are very distinct, but they eventually just they're just white.
Right,
so
right.
White.
They kind of start to form to become I see. Okay.
This collective white identity.
Okay. All right. That's fine then. Okay. So we have that kind of story where. Yeah, he, of course, Viggo Mortensen's characters, and he's the protagonist.
But I guess what you're talking about is like the WASP, right? The white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, which is like basically of British mixed with like some German, like whatever. Like, okay, whereas the Italians are very specific to, whether they Catholic or something, I forget.
I don't know. They Catholic? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roman
Catholic, right? Yeah. So and then they have their whole history of the mafia, which is hinted at in the film.
Right.
Or, well, not really hinted. It's like pretty obvious. Like yeah. Anyways, continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that part of it where it's like, okay, well, this kind of story again. You have a white folk saving the black, right, or another race. So so that story is a little bit tiring. And if you think about the whole film plot, not much of a plot, right? It's just him driving Mahershala Ali's character around. I mean, they did a good job, and the thing is that what they did a good job of is really the acting, the actor's performance. I thought that carried it, because without their performance in that film, I don't think that film would have really been at that level, to be quite honest. Is really their performance. Of course, Mahershala Ali,
winner.
He did good, but I don't know if he should have won. It's not like I would object that he won, because he did put on pretty good performance.
What were the other options? Let me see real quick.
The other options were
Black Panther.
I thought Sam Elliott from Stars Born.
Best supporting.
Yeah, supporting.
Adam Driver, Sam Elliott, Richard E. Grant. And then Sam Rockwell. So that's from Black Klansman, A Star Is Born, Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Vice. Okay.
So the one that
it's all white people except for...
Well, yeah. I mean, dude, it's the Oscars Academy. What do you expect?
Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
But so on that whole list, everyone was saying that if Mahershala Ali, if he didn't win, then the dark horse, or supposedly the one that would have won, should have been Sam Elliott, and I thought so too, because if you have seen A Star Is Born, he was excellent in that film, and what made it excellent was
he's pretty iconic. His voice, his
look is iconic, and also in A Star Is Born, Sam Elliott's screen time was way less than Mahershala Ali's character, because Mahershala Ali, it doesn't even really feel like he's supporting. It felt like he was
like a main character.
He's almost like he's a main character, so it's not really supporting. So that's the only reason why I didn't know if he should have won. But
okay.
But he was good though. He was
good. Yeah.
So yeah, you have that aspect, and then my kind of final thought on it was the ending climax scene where how.
Spoilers.
Do we give spoilers?
Oh, for sure. Let's do just a heads up to our listeners. We're gonna spoil the Green Book, which I think is fucking fine.
Well, I mean, it's old film. I mean, well, not old, but I think most people have seen it. But anyways, because you know how the ending scene where he wasn't allowed to dine with his friends because he's in that dining hall with the white people. Yeah. So, and then he finally kind of snapped and be like, oh no, I'm not gonna play for you guys anymore. I'm gonna leave. Right. I have a huge problem with that whole climax scene supposedly, or that act 3.
And then he goes to
he goes to the black bar.
The black bar. Yeah.
The reason, for me, the reason why I have a huge problem is because you have so many scenes preceding that, and there was no suggestion to his character that he was gonna all of a sudden out of nowhere flip the switch and be like, you know what, I'm not gonna play for you. So it's almost like, okay, well, you've been like, even from the beginning, he was saying that he's been dealing with this kind of racism towards him, and he still played for these white folks, and he still kind of maintained his dignity because that's part of his speech too, right?
Like dignity will
will win, not violence,
win,
right?
Not violence.
And then, but then all of a sudden, like the final climax scene, you have some guy told you like, oh, you can't dine in this hall, so that's the reason why he flipped the switch and be like, oh, I'm not playing for you. It's like, wait, what made you wait so long to decide this is the moment that you do it?
Yeah, because before that, everyone else was denying him already.
Yeah, so
exactly.
so I'm like,
I totally agree.
Yeah, I was thinking in my head, like, wouldn't you be kind of used to it since people are denying you? And for the fact also, if I was in his position, just as a real normal human being, the moment I'll snap is when he told me to use that shaft bathroom. That's like the really Can we swear?
Yeah. I sweared a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Already.
And this like, I guess, lack of better word, like shitty, dirty ass bathroom outside.
Like literally a shithole.
Yeah, like I would snap there. Why would he be okay with that, but then not okay with like, oh, I gotta go just get food to go and just dine like outside.
Yeah, well, I have to drive back to my hotel, go pee, and then come back.
Yeah, so that part I felt like it made no sense, so that was one of my huge problems there. And
he, first of all, is he gonna get paid? Because he didn't deliver him to all the spots. So did he get paid?
Like, he still got paid.
He still probably got paid.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the last spot anyway?
That was the last spot too. Yeah.
That was the last spot. So. Like that was like when he decide that, oh, I'm not gonna play for this final spot. I'm gonna leave.
Because I can't eat in the whites only dining room. So
yeah.
But wait, he's been denied like twice already.
Yeah, more than twice.
Yeah, more than twice in other establishments to use the bathroom. So why is it all of a sudden such a huge deal now?
Yeah.
I guess because he's gonna play in that room, and why can't he eat in that room?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Did you like it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
James, did you like it though?
To be honest, it was actually a fairly easy watch. I was worried that it was gonna be like super. It's pretty cringeworthy sometimes, to be honest. But overall, it reminded me of kind of like those feel good movies in the vein of, but better, well done, Forrest Gump. Kind of like right. Well done, high production value. So one thing that I realized from this film is great actors, Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, can make a bad film not as bad. That's what I'll give it. It's a terrible script. It's a bad script. But the execution of it was well done. The actors are just so, they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even me, Viggo Mortensen, seeing him as like this kind of like, good fella, He's like this good fella.
Yeah.
And he does it well, and he does speak a little bit Italian too in real life, and
has the humor.
He has humor and authenticity. The Don Shirley character is a little bit cringeworthy sometimes, but I think Mahershala Ali still carries a dignity to the character.
Yeah.
But there's some situations that just don't ring with authenticity. So, okay, let's talk about fried chicken. Let's talk about fucking fried chicken.
Yeah, okay.
Don Shirley, a black man, an African-American black man, has never had fried chicken in his entire life.
Yeah, that's what...
Is that possible? He's Jamaican. To be honest, he's Jamaican black American. Jamaican black. So, and they have fried chicken. They have jerk chicken there. But, like, he's never had fried... And a white man is going to teach him how to eat fried chicken. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Tom Cruise is gonna teach me how to be a samurai. Like, what? Like, how dare you? How dare you? And like, okay, sure, there's some racial connotations, but basically, I think the racial connotation is that somehow fried chicken is lower class or something like that, and it's associated with black people. Like that's the But it's kind of like it's like chow okay, sure, fortune cookies, chow mein is kind of like a Chinese American thing or whatever. Yeah. But like it's like a white guy is like saying, oh, you've never had pot stickers before? Oh, I'm gonna teach you how to eat pot stickers. You know? Right. Okay. One. Another one. So Don Shirley gets into two predicaments where he has to be saved by the white guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any situation? So situation one is he goes to an all-white bar after sundown. It's presumably a sundown town, meaning that blacks are not allowed after dark.
Yeah.
And he wants to get a drink. Like, how is he that? For lack of a better word, stupid. Like, how is he that naive?
Yeah.
To go to an all-white bar and not expect trouble.
True. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's basically basically an engineered situation for Viggo Mortensen to save a black man.
Yeah.
And then another situation obviously was the gay one that you mentioned briefly, where he gets into a homosexual relation with a white male, which, you know, for I think during that time there's still miscegenation laws. Like you can't go first of all sodomy, and then like, you know, gay sex, and also going with a person from another race. So obviously there's, and like, anyways, and then so Viggo Mortensen has to come in and say, hey, he has to do his wise guy thing and bullshit his way out of the situation. So okay, at the end of the film, Mahershala Ali does pay back a little bit. He drives the car so he can be with his family. So Viggo Mortensen's character, Tony the Lip, can be with his family.
No, he did help them bust out prison because
he called the president or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's just some very problematic things with this film. Tony the Lip tells Mahershala Ali, "I'm blacker than you." I'm blacker than you. Now, the appropriate response was Mahershala Ali's character gets really fucking pissed, you know? And I think that's fairly realistic. If someone said, I'm more Chinese than you to me, or more Taiwanese than you to me, I'd be like, I'm going to slap somebody, you know? Like, and Mahershala Ali's like, you don't understand the experience, right? Or you don't know, like, I'm not accepted by black people, I'm not accepted by white people.
Yeah.
And it's just very strange to me because it's as if Mahershala Ali's character also looks down on black people too, I guess, a little bit. But I guess that's his. So here's the two character arcs. The character arc for Viggo Mortensen's character, Tony Lip, is to be less racist.
Yeah.
You know, by being with such a cultured black man, he realized that not all black men are so. You know, they're all not like, you know, race. They're all not like dirty, right?
Yeah.
And then Mahershala Ali's character arc is, oh, you know what? I'm not so high in my. Oh, dude, I'm not so high. In the beginning, he's on a freaking throne, and he's like on the throne in like this room of like it's like this magical like Negro stuff, kind of like, or I'm this king, and then I guess he goes down and like, oh, he gets to eat with the lower class whites, the Italian Americans, or he plays in a seedy all black bar and loves it. Like, so these are the character arcs. Now, is that terrible? Is that such a terrible arc? It's not. It's just it's predictable, very predictable. Yeah. You know, he's gonna become less racist. It's a fantasy. The film's a fantasy, because like. It just rings as like first of all, it's from the white perspective, which is problematic already inherently. If the film is called The Green Book, the Green Book was made for Negroes, for black people. So I mean, sorry, it says Negro on the book. Sorry,
at that time.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I apologize to any listener that's offended, but I'm just using the verbiage of that time. I don't. But I was for black people. at that time is for the black motorist
Yeah.
to travel safely. And actually, you know, I was looking at some YouTube comments, and it's like you know, you're making it from a white perspective, but the film is about a Green Book, and it's about Don Shirley, who's one of the greatest, you know, musicians of that era, of that century.
Yeah.
It's kind of insulting.
Right.
Now, here's an argument another YouTuber said was the Green Book is basically Tony Lip learns to navigate his own. They make like this kind of metaphor. He gets to navigate his own racism and finds out that he's lost and has to get out of that. And Mahershala Ali's character has to navigate his own what is it, stuck-upness? What's the word?
Stuck-upness.
Pretentiousness
or spoiled bratness.
You know, pretentiousness,
Okay.
and has to find his own common humanity to blacks and to whites.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's yeah. Anyways, yeah.
So, what movie out of the 7 or 8 or whatever that was nominated, which one would you have like chosen over that? I haven't seen Roma or Vice, but I've seen the other 6.
I've seen trailers for The Favorite. It looks pretty good, but it's like an art film, right? So
yeah, that
it probably wouldn't have won.
No, that wouldn't have won because it's just the style of that film from that filmmaker he has a very odd tone to his films.
Because he did The Lobster, right?
He did he did The Lobster and The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh my god, The Killing of the Sacred Deer was just messed me up, man.
I love that film.
That movie
didn't see that
messed
film.
me up.
I love that film. So
It's actually pretty interesting.
Like I love that filmmakers. I love the way how he does his films.
It's like very distinct rules of that world.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's so weird. It's kind of like the rules of Harry Potter, but not as cool, not as magical. It's more, I mean, kind of magical, but like, it's like magical realism, but taken to like a Black Mirror kind of degree.
Yeah, it's
if
weird.
That makes sense.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Wait, Dan, did you watch Green Book, right?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Green Book, and we'll move on. Yeah.
I mean, I liked Green Book as far as like watching it. It's very easy watching, and one of the things that for my own personal thing about Best Picture winners, I want to see a movie that I can actually watch over and over again, because some of the past winners, I don't know if will ever watch like a Dances with Wolves like another time, you know, or compared to all the other movies that it beat out that year. I mean, I'll watch, what was it, probably like Casino or Goodfellas. One of those movies lost to Dances with Wolves, and I would think that movie was much more interesting, or one of those movies was much more interesting to watch, and I can keep on watching it over and over again.
But Dances with Wolves kind of problematic.
Well,
he becomes more Indian than the Indians, you know.
But no, Dan has a good point though. Like, you know, something like the great movies, like you will watch over and over again. Like you know, something like, let's say
you get something more like through each viewing, I guess, or it's just enjoyable.
Yeah, like I can't watch the movie that won last year, the Guillermo del Toro's movie. I can't even remember the name.
I did not like that movie.
Yeah, so I can't imagine watching that again. Whereas like some of the movies that never won or that didn't win throughout the years, like Pulp Fiction, I can watch anytime. Right. I can watch. Everyone watches Shawshank Redemption. You know, whenever it pops on TNT, which is almost always, everyone can just like sit down and like, oh, I want to watch that part.
Right.
But
no, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a valid point.
I saw Roma. I saw Black Klansman, Black Panther, obviously. Roma is a sleeper. That made me fall. Like I
haven't seen it.
I could fall asleep watching that movie. Like, it's beautiful. It's just so objective to the point that I think it hurts. Like, I don't feel connected with the characters. Like, I think there's barely any close-ups, which is, you know, that's his style. A lot of panning, tracking shots, but
very artful, basically.
Very and I think Black Klansman was decent, was well done. It's a little mix of mainstream techniques and also like his signature like floating images and like the zoom and the dolly at the same time.
Yeah.
But would you watch that again?
Maybe.
Would you enjoy watching it? That's the thing, though. It's like a maybe, right?
Black Panther, I would watch again. Black Panther.
Well, I mean,
dude, that would be crazy if a superhero film won.
but yeah, you know that wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, out of the movies that were nominated, I think I'll say for me, I would watch Black Panther again. I've seen that actually a few number of times. It's also one of the older movies on the list. I'd watch Bohemian Rhapsody as problematic as that film is, but it's actually much more enjoyable to like for repeat viewing. And A Star Is Born.
Okay, more than A Star Is Born.
Yeah, A Star Is Born's a little. I mean, Star Is Born was good too, but it was a little bit depressing. Like you got to be in the mood.
It was depressing.
You got to be in the mood.
But the thing is that it had moments, right? Those are the moments like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see this part of it.
Right. That's true. No, I agree. I mean, but I mean, the thing about Black Panther is that it's a Marvel film, was made to entertain for the audience. It's not really. I didn't think that should be in the Best Picture category anyways, but they made it that way just because it was like a historical thing with like the all African American cast, and it does deal with issues in that sense, but overall we all know that it's just like any other typical Marvel superhero movie, and that's why you could watch it more than once, because it's a lot of action too. It's enjoyable.
It's enjoyable. Yeah.
Well, the one thing about Marvel movies versus like DC movies were all, or Zack Snyder specifically, his movies were all just like foreseen. They're like moments. He's like moments after moments after moments. There were like, there's no rhythm to that movie or all his movies. It's just like, these are all moments, iconic moments. He's just going,
It's like,
going for everything.
Oh, another thing about Green Book is like, like all these lines are like, oh, this is a quote. Oh, this is a quote. I hated that. Like, and you know why Don Shirley is so great is because he has courage, and it takes courage
to change people's hearts.
And they all sat, and the other guy's like, and I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you gonna you're gonna leave that extra 2 seconds of let us as the audience to absorb? That's so pretentious.
It's like meant to be like for the Oscars, right?
It's like such Oscar bait. This is like one commenter wrote, when I heard about the Green Book, I thought it was a parody of an Oscar bait movie, but it was an actual movie.
That's pretty funny.
Anyways,
So out of the 8, I mean, which of the 8 would you have preferred over Green Book?
I have still yet to watch The Favorite, but I think that's like I heard from what I've seen so far from the clips, that looks pretty good. From the movies I have seen, I would have probably I've seen Black Panther, Black Klansman, Green Book, Roma. Of those 4, I would probably pick Black Klansman. Just overall, well done, important message. There's some artistic stuff, especially when they talk about white power and black power. The way he films that is like artfully done, because it's kind of like, like white power, it's like oppressive view, like he gets from low angle, and then when it's like black power, it's like from a top, like a medium angle,
but just basically like
equality,
eye level view.
Eye level view. So it's kind of like, black power is not about oppression, it's more about equality. And white power is about oppression. Now I feel like little touches like that I appreciated. Spike Lee himself, he's a character. Let's say that. And like when Green Book won, he was like trying to get it out of the Oscar.
That's what I heard too.
But I don't know, overall as far as techniques and entertainment value, Black Klansman probably would have been my choice.
What about you, Dan?
My choices were Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, or Star Is Born. Simply because of my criteria for like repeat watching.
If you
can I watch it? Will I watch it again? I don't think I watched The Favorite. I was like, oh yeah, I get it, but I'm not like, oh, I want to watch it again. And that's the same thing with Black Klansman for me. I was like, oh, were there moments I was like, oh, I really want to see that moment again, that feeling that I got from that one particular moment. They didn't have any of those moments for me. I don't know. I didn't like.
Yeah, I mean,
if we're picking more, if we're picking more than one, I want to add Black Panther in there too.
I mean, in all honesty, like the list for this year, was actually kind of weak, to be honest. Like I really want to pick any one of them to be. I mean, like they're. I mean, yeah.
Not even your favorite director?
No. Because that one I like it, but it's just. But I personally wouldn't choose the best picture anyway, because it's not really best picture quality. I mean, it's good, but it's not that quality.
Okay.
Black Klansman was good too. Maybe I would choose that, but even Black Klansman, I mean, it has some issues too, as well. I mean, like if I was the Oscar panel, the movie I thought was probably gonna win I thought it was gonna be A Star Is Born.
Huh.
Yeah. The reason for A Star Is Born is it was a well done movie too. It was a good movie too, but it's not just like the fact that, it's got Bradley Cooper and all that stuff, but it's just the way how that film is, because it's almost like a similar form of La La Land, where it's like Hollywood talking about themselves in the movie, even though A Star Is Born is more about like music artists, not really film, like like film stars, but it's almost the same idea where like, is Hollywood watching themselves, so they're almost like they're kind of getting off on watching themselves in the film. So I thought that because of that, just that aspect, that would win, because Hollywood loved that stuff, right? Oscar loved to do that. They love to have winners who portray these kind of stories. That's why The Artist won that one year, right? Because it was about the artist. It was
about Hollywood.
It was about Hollywood, and they love
a little bit narcissistic.
Yeah, they love that stuff. So that's why I thought A Star Is Born was gonna win, because of the narcissism, but it didn't. So
let's move on to Minding the Gap. So
your favorite, huh?
that was fresh in our minds. So best picture live action picture winner. Two other topics I kind of want to touch on is Minding the Gap, and then also the best animation. So those are the best picture winner, best documentary winner, and then we'll end with the best animation.
Okay.
Yeah. I've watched almost all the animations except for one. But
only watched 3 of them. But
yeah, it's fine. So Minding the Gap. Let me look at the documentaries. I saw Minding the Gap and
Free Solo, right?
And I saw Free Solo. I haven't seen. I saw RBG as well. But I do want to talk about Minding the Gap. What do you guys think? I know I have my established thoughts on it, but Darren, since it's fresh in your mind, why don't you start?
It was, yes, very well done. It was very good. Well, I'm just gonna start off with negatives first. So the negatives. Okay, so we supposed to have 3 separate stories, right? Because Dan, you watched it too, right? Okay.
Yeah. I watched
so 3 separate stories. You got Zach and Kiri and Bing's story, right? The director. Okay. So out of all those stories, the one that I don't really cared really that much about was Zach's story. I mean, it really has nothing to do with race. It's just his story just wasn't, to me, it didn't feel as emotionally, it just didn't feel as emotional or even as painful, or didn't have that rawness to it compared to Kiri's story and Bing's story. And I just didn't really relate, to be honest. I mean, yeah, he was dealing with issues, like, okay, he has a kid that he needs to take care of, and then he's got to work and do all that. Okay, that's fine, I understand. But a lot of the issues and problems that in that film that they were kind of detailing with Zach's stories, those problems seems very common that any American will suffer though, right? Like, oh no, I have a kid at 21, I had to go work and take care of him. It's like, okay, well, but who I feel like a lot of people kind of have that similar situation. They're able to handle it. And then the other thing I don't like is his story. It felt like it overwhelmed when it's the story that I dislike the most. Like I would have been fine if they featured like Kiri's story more, because there are a lot of things that he said in that documentary that I remember more of and relatable to me more than any of the other characters. And of course Bing's story, which they only touched on it a little bit, like towards the end. Like I wish that he would went more detail into his own story, because that's definitely more emotionally like attached for me. Like Zach's story though, it's like, okay, fine, you're not like a very, very rich, spoiled Caucasian dude, but But a lot of the problems that he went through is kind of self-inflicted. Okay, you the one go and drink a lot and spend money on booze and spend money on buying cases of beer, and you're the one who doesn't clean up the apartment. You're the one. So a lot of the self-inflicted problems,
And he knows it too, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, he's like, I want to see how bad it can get.
I mean, I understand, like, maybe, okay, like, he did mention how he was kind of suffering with depression and all that, right? He had mental health issues. Okay, I understand when you have mental health issues, yes, so sometimes your mind isn't right. And then, I understand, I've been through that, everyone has, but still, like, these are really, they are self-inflicted. Like,
grow the fuck up,
yeah,
Zach.
Yeah, there are people who are depressed, but they don't go in drinking. They just somehow find other ways to deal with it.
Well, I mean, sure, okay, sorry, I say that in jest, like, grow the fuck up, Zach, but, like, it's like, no, people have real issues, and some of them don't have the tools to get, they need more tools to get out. But I totally agree, like, Zach, in a way, and Bing has mentioned this in another interview, he felt like, how is he going to address the domestic violence issue? His friend is beating his girlfriend.
Yeah.
His friend is hitting his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And in a way, the film is kind of enabling like that. It's like, it's like, what I liked is that Bing was able to get the other side of the story, because we were only hearing it from Zach's side for most of the film, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit,
talking to a girlfriend, right?
He's actually hitting his girlfriend.
Yeah. So
I saw like some of the Instagram stuff, and Zach and Bing and Kier where they went to the Oscars and stuff, and I just like, I hope he stopped doing that. I guess he did. He has to. He moved out, right? But at the same time, I'm like, you're celebrating an abuser. I mean, a part of me kind of, maybe he's changed for the better. I don't know.
Well, towards the end though, they did show that each character did, I guess, in a sense, grow up or did change. They found their way. So maybe that was kind of like a turning point. So that was fine. That was okay. That was cool. I mean, but there are some good things about Zach's story. At the very least, they didn't portray him like as any typical privileged, Caucasian guy. Where like, okay, I have a big house to live in. My parents are rich, and then I don't really work. Or even if I do work, I work at my parents' company. So at least they didn't portray that kind of story. If it isn't, then I would be like, dude, I'm shutting it off, because that's just like, I don't need to watch like a documentary like kind of like similar to Wolf of Wall Street, where you're just celebrating. Or
it's the opposite. It's like the
at least here,
wolf of the ditch.
At least here they kind of portrayed the Caucasian guy story a little bit of opposite of that. Okay, so that I can appreciate, but once again, like Kiri's story and Bing's story for me was
so much more.
Was the one more interesting, and Kiri's story he had like at least 2 or 3 lines that immediately. It caught me already. Immediately I got attached to it. And so there's one he says that I don't want to always stay here because if I stay here, I'm afraid I'm gonna be stuck here. That already I can identify, because that's how I felt back then when I was living in Bay Area or whatever. Not that home is bad. Okay, living at home is never living at home is never bad. I mean, because there's a comfort zone, but at the same time, I understand what he meant by like you feel like you'll get stuck there because you feel like just, being a comfort zone is cool, but if you're too much into it, it's just almost like you're a hamster running a wheel. It's just kind of going in circles.
Yeah, we're from the same hometown actually.
Yeah. So it's going in circles, around and around. So that's one. And his other quote, there's a small part, I don't know if people even listen to it, but he said that when he was younger, when he was a kid or when he was growing up, he always thought that other people had their shit figured out, but then he doesn't know what he's doing. And then as he gotten older, he realized like, yeah, I shouldn't think that way myself, because you know what? I actually realized nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. And that is true, because I'm starting to realize that too as I grow up, where like the people who to tell you like, oh yeah, I got my life figured out, my life is picture perfect, everything is cool, I know exactly what I want. And then the first thing I'll think in my head is like, dude, that is total BS. You're lying. There's not one bit I believe in that, because you're just not being truthful to yourself for saying that you got everything figured out, because I do not believe that any one person has everything figured out. Even the most successful people. like Steve Jobs or whatever, right? So that caught me too. And then towards the end, when he's thinking about moving out, and he's kind of mentioning the same thing where just being stuck in the same place where he felt like he wouldn't be able to grow.
Yeah.
So see, all that to me is just relatable to me, and that's why I love his story much more than really Zach's story. And his story is a little bit more deeper too, just because his dad passed away. So there's that memory of that
loss there.
That loss. So it's just more impactful. Like every.
Oh my God! Like the graveyard. Sorry.
Yeah. Like every moment, or every problem or struggles that he has is actually more impactful than Zach or what he's been through. And the same thing with like the director's story, Bing's story, right? He, obviously got physical abuse by his stepdad. And then his half brother like kind of even mentioned that he had heard about all this stuff going on, but even he couldn't help. So, and then Bing had that struggle where the mom can't do anything because she's working. So even just that short snippet of that story, even for me, I felt it like, oh wow, okay, that that really does feel very human.
Yeah.
Of a story, but I'm just upset that he didn't really dig deeper into that. He just covered a really short portion, just an interview with his mom, and that's it. I would love to see hear about it more.
Yeah, he comes in late.
He comes in really late, and I didn't really like that. But maybe that's just a decision where like, oh, I don't want to talk too much about myself.
Yeah.
That's totally understandable.
Okay.
And but yeah, it was good. Like I did feel all the rawness, the emotional rawness. But yeah, so I mean. Didn't know. I mean, it might have won. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Free Solo is really pretty crazy too.
Yeah, but I heard Free Solo was like not just crazy in terms of the idea, but I heard that even visually, cinematically, cinematography was crazy too. So in some sense, in that production value part, you couldn't really beat that out. So because of that, you knew Minding the Gap wasn't really gonna win.
Anyway, Dan,
what do you think? What do you think Minding the Gap means? Did they actually address the title of the movie?
Not in the movie, no. I thought about it too. Like,
I think it's more like a lot of interpretation, like yourself interpret like what it would mean based on all the.
I think it's a skating term, maybe Minding the Gap. Like if you're trying to do a jump across like a gap or something, you gotta be careful. Maybe some. And I mean another interpretation. I was thinking about this too. Is like the gap is like. Is that feeling of like whatever that loss is or whatever that void is.
Yeah.
Maybe Minding the Gap is like maybe you were beat as a child, like being in all three of them were beat as a kids, and so maybe it's like that lot. Maybe it's that. So I mean, Dan, your thoughts on the film before we move on? Yeah.
I did enjoy it. It took a while for me to like really get into it because I really wasn't sure what was going on until like part way into the movie, and then but as far as Zach's story, I totally understand why he actually focused on it. He had the most footage of that guy. I have no idea why he had so much, many hours, I'm sure, and probably many more that he like cut it together. He did a great job weaving like a story arc for all three of them, but I think as far as like focusing on Zach, it's just probably about availability of footage from the past and the future. And he even mentioned that he didn't really meet Kira until like a little later. And then that's when he goes, oh, I think his story is similar to mine because of that.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, maybe that's the issue too. But I mean, at least I am glad though. One thing I'm glad about is the fact that they just made skateboarding like a backdrop of it.
It's not the main thing.
That's not the main thing. So which is good.
I like it.
Yeah, that's good because like maybe in the beginning when people were watching it, they thought it was all about skateboarding. Then if that was the case, then you would really turn a lot of audience off because it's like, dude, you know what? Maybe half the audience don't care about skateboarding. Right. So at least he didn't really go into that, which is good. So I'm glad the director made that choice.
Yeah. So I did a little research about the film, and originally Bing is going to be just Kira's story and Zach's story.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have his story inserted. I don't know. I'm not sure about the particular reason, but he did some test screenings with some of his producer and like other people involved in the film, and they said you got to put your story in there. Like you're filming everything. You got to put your story in there. And I agree with Darren that Kier's story and Bing's story are probably the most captivating.
Yeah.
And Zach just makes me so fucking angry. Maybe like he's hitting his girl, dude. Like, and he's like, and he just, and maybe why he makes me so angry is that I sometimes maybe I see some aspects of myself in him. Like, oh, like he's being self-destructive, and he's just like what the fuck is he? You know, he's. And maybe it's a little bit of that entitlement too, maybe, or being white, like, and also he's like looking at like racist videos in front of Kier. So
yeah.
So okay. So one thing, I really like the film overall. I really love the film. I think it's great story and tying three cycles of three versions of trauma and how these cycles of trauma continue. Zach is perpetuating it. Bing and Kier are trying to find ways to get out of that cycle. Yeah. Try to break that cycle of pain. That's why Zach makes me so angry, because he's perpetuating it. That's the main reason. Now, and also he's white. No, I'm kidding. Like, it doesn't matter if he's white or not. It's that he's perpetuating it. And then the fact that he's white maybe makes me think, it gives me that sense of maybe he's feeling a little bit entitled, but I can't make that jump. Maybe it's just his upbringing. Yeah. I don't want to be racist. So now, the fact that Bing wanted to edit out his story, here's me projecting. Okay, this is me thinking out loud. So a lot of filmmakers, maybe they don't want to insert their story because it might be too it might be too narcissistic, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
And so maybe it's too narcissistic. But another aspect that I just so Darren and I went to the documentary event where they talked about their films, and I asked Bing after the event, "Hey, you touched on Kyrie's story a little bit with race, right? You talked about how, you know, being black is a different experience than being white, and then how his father told him, hey, you have to be proud that you're a black man, right? Yeah. These are stuff that I really connected with, and that's where Bing says, oh, I see myself in your story. And Bing told me, like, oh, that's why I said that, because as an Asian American, I see myself in that story. But a very, very glaring omission from the film is that Bing does not talk about his race at all. At all. Yeah. His fucking stepfather followed his mom home and became his stepdad. He's like, how did he become your stepdad? Oh, he followed my mom home and became stepdad. And his dad is white. And I asked him, hey, did you face much discrimination? He's like, oh yeah, I faced a lot, you know, but that, you know, there's only, and this is what he said, there's only like so much you can do in like a 90-minute-ish documentary film. Yeah. I call bullshit. It's true. I've worked as a producer on a feature-length documentary. I've worked on a feature-length narrative. It's so tough to do a lot of stuff in a short period of time, especially the networks are saying, oh, it's too long, blah, blah, blah. It's such a true thing. But there's like, Kier's racism is explained in like 5 minutes or less. Yeah. It's like just snippets of them watching. There must be some footage he's filmed where someone called him a chink or a gook or something. There has to be somewhere. Sure. I'm pretty sure there is. And his dad called his younger brother, the half brother, you look funny. Well, all you need to do is like, oh, because you look like a fucking chink or something like that. Like, just like, there must have, in an interview, he said that his stepdad used to call his mom chopsticks. Wow. Why was that not in the film? I am angry about this. But like in a good way.
He's lit right now.
I'm kind of like, why do Asians edit out their own stories? Because I'll tell you fucking why. Maybe, but I'll tell you fucking why. Those fucking those people in the Oscars or at Sundance. Oh, he's gonna talk about what WMAF. He's gonna talk about white male Asian female fetishization. Oh, that's a little bit too edgy, maybe, you know?
Okay.
Maybe.
Right.
Because I've been to Sundance. a lot of those white guys are with Asian women. I mean, it's not uncommon, you know, and it's not a terrible thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe, you know, there is true love between white men and Asian females, but they might feel attacked. Maybe.
Yeah.
But his story is so indicative of the pain of fetishization and also the pain of racism towards Asian men, that I feel so like it's such a lost opportunity. It is such a lost opportunity to explore the racism of Asian men, of Asian males.
Since this is a podcast, you can't see he's really angry right now.
It's just, it's like, Bing, you could have. And why is this so important? Because you can fucking save lives with film. I don't care. Like, okay, maybe you didn't get, if you inserted that story, maybe you wouldn't get the Oscar nomination. Maybe. It's possible. Who knows? We'll never know. But I think it might touch somebody. It might reach to a kid.
Sure.
Say, hey, oh shit. My dad, you know, my mom fell into a similar situation. Or I, as an Asian American growing up, or Chinese American, Taiwanese or Chinese American growing up in America, have felt similar pains and struggles. Like skateboarding is a very white sport, you know, Tony Hawk, blah blah blah. And you know, traditionally that's the stereotype. But as an Asian or as a black person, like coming into that culture, like I want to understand that struggle. Now maybe he couldn't go as far depth as he wanted to, but you know, he should at least put in like another 5 or 10 extra minutes, I think, of just exploring that issue would have, I think, helped the film. Anyways.
yeah, get it all out.
I gotta get it all out. Bing, great job though, by the way. Good job. Or anyone, I definitely recommend watching Mind the Gap. I just feel like that would have made a good film even better. And yeah, like, it's maybe America's not, it's like Asians, we self-edit ourselves. We're worried about telling our story about racism because we don't want to cause waves in the white dominated society. Okay? Well, you can talk about black racism. Black racism is like mainstream basically. It's in the Green Book. You know, like they talk about black, like racism against black. That's like so. It's such no one's gonna say, you should never call the. No one's gonna say, why can't I say the N-word? Everyone's gonna agree, like, yeah, you can't say the N-word towards a black person. That's just. But you call a Chinese person a chink. Oh, what's wrong with that? You know, like it seems there's more leeway. And that's the whole thing we saw with like Linsanity, like kind of like the verbs, the verbiage used against him. Anyways, that's just something that's on my mind.
Well, but part of it though is that he's frustrated. I think part of it is a cultural thing too, right? I think in general Asians tend to be the various common stereotypes, which is true. Most of them are, obviously conservative, shy, low self-esteem, low self-confidence. There's actually a lot of that. I mean, even Asian Americans too, because they're still growing up in an Asian household. So I think it's like that's a cultural thing where maybe because of that they're just thinking like, you know what, maybe my story isn't that interesting to tell. There's not much going on. So what, and so I think that has kind of all that factor into that. Maybe that's the reason why Bing felt like, I mean, I'm not that interesting, so let's just focus on these guys instead. Maybe it's part of him is himself, he's thinking like, no one wants to hear me. I mean, no one wants to listen to me talk. I'm not,
Right. And then
because it comes back to the whole low self-esteem, low self-confidence,
and also being beat by his father. Is probably not helpful to his ego.
It doesn't help, in terms of his
stepfather.
Yeah, like the way how he is as a person. We're like, I mean, it's also a very personal thing, right? It's a very, very personal story where not everyone wants to talk about their personal story like really that deep. So so you can't really blame him for, in that sense, not to talk more about that.
I understand. Yeah, I mean, like if I had to film my mom and like to make her cry on camera like that, like
not purposely, but
like that takes some balls, and I give him props for that. We're running over time right now. We should probably let's just name our picks for the. So I think Into the Spider-Verse, yeah, not bad. I think that probably deserved the win. What were the other options?
Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, and Ralph Breaks the Internet.
I think Spider-Verse was probably deserved it. I've seen all of them except for Wreck-It Ralph 2, and Mariah was good, but like I thought his other work, Wolf Children, was better. It's a cool concept, but no, I think Into the Spider-Verse, just a strong story. I wouldn't mind watching it again. Great art, yeah. Thoughts?
What do you have in mind, Dan? Because you didn't say much.
I actually like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, so that was my pick. I haven't seen Mirai either, but I watched the other 3 movies. Incredibles 2 was good. It was solid. I liked it more than the first one.
Really? I beg to differ on that. But
I thought the second one was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming for me too. Yeah.
It was more entertaining. I don't know if it's a different part of my life.
Oh, you're a father, yeah.
Incredibles, yeah. When Incredibles came out, I was like, yeah. But Incredibles 2 came out, I was like, oh, I understand that.
Okay. No, fair point. Like you can't. It's hard to be a super dad, right? Yeah.
To do like all these other things, and then Isle of Dogs was good. Ralph Breaks the Internet was good, but again, those weren't earth shattering.
Isle of Dogs is just beautiful to look at.
Yeah. It's actually pretty fun. It's a pretty funny. It's a pretty funny, funny story.
I came in really worried that it was like a lot of Japanese culture appropriation, but I mean, I thought it was fairly respectful to Japanese culture.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about the Asians as others, like their stuff is not translated, except through that one speaker. That's kind of, and then the dogs are all played by white actors. And there's some Asian actors. Some probably like the white girl is a little bit savior-ish, but the actual savior is that hacker guy, I guess.
Yeah,
who doesn't have
Japanese
any lines.
hacker. Yeah.
But overall, really like all those puppets are like they're handmade puppets, and they're like each character has like they have their many variations of each character, like different faces, hundreds of faces.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty crazy.
The production value of that, I think it's beautiful to look at, but I think story is key, and I think Into the Spider-Verse is a pretty good story, and also pretty to look at. And there is sorry, I have to go. I'm the race guy. Sorry, but like the Asian girl Into the Spider-Verse, a little bit kind of like kitschy, a little bit stereotypical, I guess, kawaii, whatever. But it's kind of like Ham, right? They're all stereotypes. They're all like tropes, right?
Right.
Noir.
Right.
So I'm a Japanese girl trope, and
Yeah, it's just meant for that universe. Right. Meant for that universe.
So I guess so. Maybe, yeah. But anyways, okay. We usually end with a language corner.
What's that?
So we end with a phrase that we are of a language that we speak. So for me, it might be Mandarin, Taiwanese, and I'm also learning Japanese right now. Dan speaks, his languages. He speaks Japanese and a little Cantonese and Chinese, right? Or Mandarin, yeah.
Yeah.
Mandarin.
So I'll start off. Maybe it'll make you think of something. So
I can't think of anything. What if the guy doesn't know any other languages? Then what would they do? Just speak English?
They would. One guy, like a white guy we had, who just spoke English. He picked like a slang term from English that they use. Like he used like neat, NEET, like the person that just stays at home or something. So you could do something like that, like a linguistical thing. Crap. Oh, damn. I was trying to
Why don't I start?
Yeah, you have one? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. In Japanese, there's a word called maita.
Maita. Okay.
I give up. It just means I give up.
Oh, I give up. So would you say that like you're in an argument and like you can't win and it's like maita, like that?
Yeah, maita. Or in almost any situations, like, I was working for this project and I couldn't get it done. I was like, I give up. Maita.
Oh, cool. Where'd you learn that? Just recently, or?
No.
Yeah, okay, Mike. Okay. The word I have is 厌世脸. 厌世. Yeah, 厌世脸. Yeah. 厌世脸 means yen is 讨厌的厌, which means like hate. 世界的世 like sekai, right? 世界. 世 and 脸 is face, 脸.
Yeah.
So 厌世脸 means hate world face. Basically, this came. I saw on like a YouTube it's kind of like a fairly new slang. It literally means like a lot of these girls who have like this look like they can't smile and they're looking far into the distance, and like, kind of like, like cold, like kind of like a blue steel kind of look, basically. But particularly for women, I guess. Like there's one actress, one musician's like Lexi Liu. She has that kind of look. Or there's like this Japanese. I think there was this model. What's her name? That it kind of came from. What's her name? Luda. There's this Japanese model. I'll have a link in the below. But yeah. So that's kind of like a fun phrase I learned recently. Like, because I think the models or girls that I find attractive have that kind of like hateful face. maybe I'm attracted to cold women.
Okay.
And maybe that's something I need to figure out. And like, why am I like that? And maybe it's not healthy. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
And you have any phrase in Cantonese or anything that you learn? Or
let's just go with some Chinese New Year's phrase, because Chinese New Year's passed like
months ago, but it's fine. Yeah.
Something simple. 身體健康. It just means good health. Just wish you good health.
How you say that again?
身體健康.
身體健康.
Close enough.
身體健康.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's close enough.
Close enough. Okay.
Yeah. But it's just, yeah. I mean, since it's Chinese New Year, so might as well just throw out a phrase for Chinese New Year's. Because we will say different like types of phrases, for Chinese New Year's to people, whether it's for health or like, prosperity or whatever. We just have our way of saying it. It's usually like kind of 4-character type of phrase.
Right.
I mean, you have that, but you have a bunch of other stuff too. But that's like one of the more common ones because for Chinese New Year's it's usually like your old, well, that too, but you know how it's usually your grandma, your grandparents, or your older folks giving you like red pockets, so you would just wish them good health because they're older. So
红包, red envelopes, 红包.
Yeah, that too, 红包.
Yeah.
But
so you would say that when you give it to someone, I guess, like
well, when someone give it to me, then I would say something to them,
like senti gen. How do you say it again? Some
Santai.
Santai.
Ginhong.
Santai means senti, right? Means
this is
body.
body.
Okay, senti. Yeah.
And then Ginhong is health.
Oh, 健康.
Yeah. It's like
身体健康.
Yeah. So it's like that. It's
身體健康.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's other phrases too, which I don't remember all of them. I used to as a kid, but I mean, I only choose like a few that I do remember, and I just say those over and over again every year.
Dude, that's so good. Yeah.
But because like, I mean, every year in a way you can argue is kind of the same. Like, I mean, yeah. So.
And to say thank you is mgoi, right?
Yeah.
Mgoi.
I mean, there's two ways.
Sai, right?
There's two ways, right? So that way you just said mgoi.
Yeah.
That's just more like a little bit more kind of like more casual in a way.
Yeah.
But the more formal, respectful way would be 多谢.
多谢. Yeah. In Taiwanese, it's 多谢.
Yeah, I mean that's almost similar. It's like it's it's kind of like a more formal, respectful way of saying it. And then the other way is just more like, oh, maybe if you're out with friends and you just say it more casually. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much. Any final words, Dan?
Nope, that's pretty much it for
that's
me.
I think we're like an hour and a half or a little bit over. But yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Hopefully that was interesting, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. See you. Hi, James here. Just a reminder, please, if you can, leave us a review on iTunes, 5-star rating, and it helps us get the word out about our podcast and lets other people find it. Also, you can find us also on Facebook. You can like our Facebook page. We also have a Spotify, and we're on Stitcher as well. We'll be rolling out a Patreon soon, so please look out for that. That's a way for you to help donate to Yin and Young, the podcast, and get make this podcast sustainable for Dan and I, and so we can create more episodes for you. All right, and thanks so much. Thanks for listening.